This is a continuation of a previous What If, so watch that first. If wanting to jump in with a brief account though, this Vegeta tried repopulating the Saiyan race by having a daughter with Raditz. This child, a Shallot, became immortal on Namek. Vegeta ended up learning all there is to know of spirit control, and Gohan spared Vegeta after her attempt to conquer Earth, now practicing Shugyo or austere training diligently. 17 and 18 being revived makes them curious about what happened, and return to attacking the city out of anger. Gohan going to face them, where he easily defeats them and tells them what happened, advising them to live a more meaningful life. 18 considers he's right that they're free to live normal lives with Gero gone, and 17 is motivated to prove the superiority of the artificial humans by training to surpass Gohan, as both become more acquainted with the Dragon Team. In time, a bond forms between 18 and Kuririn, but 17 has no desire to be a park ranger without meeting 16, instead sparring regularly with Raditz and Buruma buying him a house near Capsule Corporation, when also interested in learning about Gero's research. 17 quickly ends up surpassing Raditz before challenging Gohan again, winning this time, but having calmed down his heart enough to see it as a friendly win, knowing there's more he can do. Tenshinhan creates the Shinki Kohor sometime later, and having not shown it to be useless to current threats, has him more motivated to improve, requesting Piccolo go into the Room of Spirit and Time for the former Kami to revamp their Shugyo. It's through doing so that Piccolo says Ten's style of putting everything in an external ki blast rather than further cultivating himself internally is the wrong path, which has Ten review what he's learned from Kyle, this time not trying his own spear, following it to the letter to master Kaioken. Piccolo picking it up sometime later, before both leave the room, wanting to test the results. Ten and Piccolo go visit Raditz, with Tenshinhan going first. He proves a match for Raditz in base, and though no match for his Super Saiyan form, even with 20 times Kaioken, he gains Raditz's praise. Piccolo going next. Though only having time to use the regular version of Kaioken, his growth from his time with Tenshinhan is enough for Piccolo to easily win to Raditz's shock. As for Shallot, her immortality preventing her from growing up is something she becomes concerned about years later, even asking Popo to take the 2-year limit off the Room of Spirit and Time for her to go in for a century inside. Even then, there is no change, but the time to reflect on her state of being while training her mind and body has her come to the realization her permanent state of being is a good thing, as it will allow her to always defend the Earth, her father, and friends from her mother and any new threats. Despite this long time in the room, having started from battle power below the other active fighters, incapability to benefit from the Saiyan power trait, and the time spent reflecting on her state of being still make her weaker than Super Saiyan 2 Gohan, she then spends her time being protective of Trunks, and eventually tutoring him as he gains an interest in play fighting when growing up. Meanwhile, Vegeta starts taking over Frieza's territory, which draws Abor and Kador to her. The power of their fusions Wahaha Noha is something Vegeta can't contend with, but she easily avoids this with her clones and uses forced spirit fission to separate them. They then beg for mercy, which she grants, when seeing their fusion as an ideal sparring partner for when she returns to Earth, achieving Super Saiyan 2 after a few years. Gohan enters high school, and events go as usual until the junior division, where a Shallot stature prevents the staff from believing she's 124, tutoring Trunks throughout the finals with her strict but helpful advice, allowing him to achieve Super Saiyan 2 when defending against her attacks, and causing her superior skill to be the only reason she still wins. Tenshinhan, Chozu, and 17 enter, with Tenshinhan Shinhan having Chaozu rig the matchups for what he can tell are who each person wants to face. Match 1 is instead Tenshinhan versus Shin, with him wanting to test the stranger, and match 2 is Raditz versus Goku, with how excited he can tell Raditz is to test his brother's power. Though there are a few familiar matchups, such as 18 versus Mr. Satan, or interesting ones, such as 17 versus Gohan, the first 2 are the only ones to matter, for reasons that will become clear soon. Tenshinhan's use of the Kaioken has him win with less effort than he expected. Kibito's shocked expression of Kaioshin-sama, making things clear to Piccolo, who is terrified at what Tenshinhan has done. Despite this, Shin is happy to see the mortals are more capable than he heard. Before they fight, Raditz and Goku catch up a bit, with Raditz saying how glad he is Goku is as he is, with his kindness to a Shallot, allowing Raditz to find happiness, then also showing how his intense training has benefited him. Both start off as Super Saiyans, before revealing they've gone beyond it, after seeing Gohan make it possible. The fight as Super Saiyan 2s being where Shin tells everyone to not interfere when Popovich and Yamu strike, and Goku has his ki drained. Raditz attempts to stop them, but Piccolo shouts at him to do as Kaioshin-sama says. Before the Saiyans, Glins, Piccolo, Tenshinhan, Kuririn and 17 go to stop Babidi. Mr. Satan proposes the Battle Royale, where 18 does her usual tactic. At Babidi's ship, 17 has no reason to not be at full power, intercepting and getting rid of Dabra before he can use his spit. It's as the group prepare to go into the ship though, that they sense 3 Great Ki arriving nearby, Vegeta, Abor and Kador having landed near Capsule Corporation, before flying towards what Vegeta recognizes as Gohan's Ki. Babidi then sees this as an opportunity to control new servants, and succeeds with Akka, but Vegeta resists. Vegeta faces Gohan to show how strong she's become. Raditz, Piccolo and the Earthlings help out when she proves too much, while Akka's training makes him someone 17 is forced to help Goku defeat. 17 proves a challenge for Vegeta, especially when a difference in stamina becomes apparent, with Vegeta's fury at this modified Earthling having gone from no challenge to becoming her superior, make her give in to Babidi's sorcery when seen it boosted Akka's ki somewhat. It's just enough to gain an advantage over 17, with Babidi telling her to attack the others, as 17 can't contribute to Boo's revival. Vegeta replies she's nobody's to order around, but does see it as worth targeting Goku, Gohan and Raditz a bit out of revenge. That quickly awakens Boo. At the time, Trunks and a Shallot arrive to protect their father. Vegeta then decides Babidi has served his purpose, and gets behind him before crushing his head. She then tells Boo that she is his mistress from now on, which irritates Boo, and Vegeta attacks him to prove her superiority. She does so, but her arrogance annoys Boo so much a Bunrei happens, where she lets the good and pure evil Boos fight when interested in what might happen, and gets in the way of the Dragon Team wishing to intervene. When the evil Boo gains dominance though, she sees how big of a mistake she has made, as even teaming up with the others can't do anything against Boo, with Vegeta getting no opportunity to use Spirit Vision, and Shin tells Kibito the only option is to have Gohan use the Zeto Sword, while Goku tells Raditz about fusion, and that they'll have to go to the Room of Spirit and Time to have a chance to master it. Kuririn's Renzoku Kienzan and Tenshinhan's Shinki Koho create the distraction needed for Goku and Raditz to flee, at the cost of Boo turning both Earthlings into chocolate. Trunks is adamant on fighting, with 17 having to knock him out and give him to Piccolo, as he, Vegeta and a Shallot oppose Boo. A Shallot helps shield both from Boo's attacks, until he chooses to turn into chocolate and eat her, this being what has Vegeta realize her folly after she has had time to acknowledge the care she has for her daughter, then attempting to use the final explosion as penance for having become obsessed with her own strength, at the cost of everything. 17 also also uses the bomb inside him to add to this, which ends up being enough to overpower Boo, and him only surviving through a single piece remaining, being blown away from the explosion. His next goal being to get to the Shinden. Goku and Raditz have enough time in the room though, and exit as soon as mastering fusion. Radical then proven enough to overwhelm Boo, and launch a weekend Kamehameha capable of enveloping all of Boo, voicing their desire to face him again as a friend. With how they never imagined someone could be so strong, Boo attempts to have part of himself slip away again, but is hit with too much of a stomach pain to concentrate, a Shallot being dissolved in Boo's stomach acid, having her return to normal and attack him from the inside for Radical to destroy every atom of Boo and free a Shallot. After this, Goku soon returns to Otherworld, and the Dragon Balls revive most of Boo's victims. Namex Dragon Balls reviving Kuririn after Shin has Kibito go tell Muri. Goku then visits Gohan at the Kaioshinkai while he gets his potential unleashed, and reminds him to keep preparing for new threats in his place. As they say goodbye, while Goku decides to stay on the Kaioshinkai a while to see if he can train himself further, though doesn't go through the ritual from both wanting to earn his power and the Rodai Kaioshin not being willing to do so for free without an emergency. As for Vegeta, she accepts reincarnation as punishment for her actions, in hope she may be able to forge a new, positive bond with a Shallot and Raditz one day. With how heavily this will affect GT, wait for part 3.